So I got this Azure SQL DB instance that I don't use very often. I've been scaling it down to nothing, like 1 core, and then scaling it back up whenever I wanted to run some demos with it. So I'm going to use the new Azure SQL DB serverless. So to switch it over, I'm just going to go click on the Azure SQL DB. I'm going to go click on configure. This is where you would usually choose the pricing tiers. Right now I'm on provisioned. I'm going to switch it over to serverless. You notice that you only get Gen 5 as an option, and then your max number of cores goes up to 4. Min cores goes down to, it says half a core. Remember, this is in preview, of course, so they could change this stuff at any time. I do find it amusing to see the amount of memory for min and max. So like I can change the min cores up higher, and you can see how the cores map to memory. Basically 3 gigs of RAM per core. Then next up, the whole serverless idea is that you want it to go all the way down to being serverless, like no servers, whenever it's not under any activity. So this is auto pause. Auto pause, you can enable it so that it'll shut itself down basically whenever it's not having activity. So it says the number of hours. Well, after an hour, I'm really kind of done with it. So I'm going to choose 1 hour, except I can't. It says, please specify an auto pause delay between 6 hours and 7 days. So the lowest I can go is 6 hours. That kind of blows, because if I stop doing my Sean Connery impersonation at 6 p.m., if I stop doing my development work at say 6 p.m., work like say 9 to 6, then that means it's going to be all the way to midnight before this thing shuts down, and then it's going to start right back up again as soon as anybody queries it. Anybody? There's only me in the shop. For me, it's perfect because I tend to work in bursts. I tend to work in, I'll work on something, a blog post, a project or whatever for 4-8 hours, and then I'm done with it for 2, 3, 4 or longer days. Like the 2 weeks, 3 weeks will go by without me touching it. So then let's see, I set it to 6 hours, which is as small as it can go. Please accept the preview terms. Yes, I will sign my children away. Okay. And then apply, and that's it. And off it goes to go scale the database. I don't understand why you wouldn't use this if it's something like a development tier. It's just such a no-brainer to have it automatically scale down. Yeah, it's not as good as I would want. It doesn't, scale down fast enough. It spins up if anybody even tries to log in, if IntelliSense kicks off, if a monitoring tool kicks off. So it only makes sense for development environments that you don't monitor and that have lulls in between people using it. I was going to say if you have a 24/7 dev team, it doesn't work. But even if you have like a 12-hour dev team, it doesn't really work because all you're going to save is max 6 hours, and that's under a best case scenario. But for single user shops like me doing blog post kind of stuff, it's absolutely perfect. Assuming it works. I assume that it works. Success.